Small but mighty.
Thank you. And mighty, yes,
Yes,
they are
very
mighty. Definitely. So welcome, audience, and thank you for coming. We do not have recognitions,
No, not this time.
so we get to public comments. I have one slip from Cornelia Alsheimer.
She wants to speak when the item comes up.
You're right, it says that. I did not read that. So that takes us to the minutes of the regular meeting of March 9th. We're staying right up there. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? Jonathan? Second? Marty? And any questions, comments, edits?
Was that the meeting where was that the last meeting?
No,
No.
that'll
The
be,
meeting
that'll be in the
before.
next meeting.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is retreat, right?
This is, no,
No
Okay.
other,
the retreat will be at the next one. also.
Okay.
no other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have the development of the consent agenda. Usually that's our second meeting of the month, but we do have an item here, which is the experts and volunteers item, and I think that's all you intended for this, right, Angie? Yeah. So, Anthony, were you going to clarify one thing on the experts, volunteers, contract?
Yeah, we have a professional person on there that's a grant writer, and it is not to exceed $18,000 for the Title V grant that we're going to be writing. And this is a person that we are very familiar with, and it's a person that we've had great success with in the past. As a matter of fact, we've received some significant grants from her work in the past. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that you all knew about.
Okay. So with that in mind, does anyone want to remove it for further comment, or shall we proceed as a consent? All right. Motion to, let's see, I guess we have to adopt the consent agenda, which is this item. So motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So move.
Second, Craig. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the consent agenda, which is item 6.1. Usually there are a lot more.
I suggest whenever we have such a situation where there's just one item, we just go ahead and vote on that item. I think it's just simpler.
You guys are always looking for shortening things up, I know.
No, greater efficiency. Just want you to know that we're awake.
All right, but still, motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve item 6.1 for the consent
Veronica,
agenda.
motion? Against? Okay. So that takes us to the Faculty Association Agreement, and now Cornelia wants to speak. We're being efficient.
We want to go home early.
I've got Jack, too, that I wanted to have speak a little bit about it.
Okay.
Jack Freelander.
Honorable members of the Board of Trustees, President Croninger, Dr. Beebe. First of all, please allow me to provide you with a copy of the hot from the press Faculty Association Spring 2017 newsletter. It contains interesting articles, at least I think they are interesting, as well as an invitation for our annual party on May 6th. And I hope many of you will be able to attend. It is always a fun event. And this year it will be even more fun because we will have an unprecedented number of retirees who we will be celebrating. So please mark your calendars, May 6th, 4 to 7 p.m. But back to the agenda. Today you have in front of you the contract between the SBCC Faculty Association and the Santa Barbara College District. It does come with some delay. After all, the start of this agreement is July 1st of last year. The delay is a reflection that the negotiations have put significant amounts of time and effort into this document. It is also a reflection of the most unusual times we are in. As representatives of the faculty, the FA negotiators are well aware of the current enrollment crisis and the significant impact this has on our budget. We understood that these were not the times to make improvements on salaries, even though the salary levels at SBCC have fallen on average about 5% behind the median of our comparable schools. This is not what we would like to see, and I would like to point out that this is surely not a sustainable situation. And just for your information, details on our current salaries can be found on page 3 of the newsletter, which I just gave you, so if you want to have a look. So the changes you will find in the current contract compared to the last one are very small. They don't involve any significant amount of money. They do involve some fairness issues, and they do involve codifying some of our goals. And I feel it is good to know where our goals are in good times and in not so good times as well. In closing, I would like to thank the district negotiation team, Jack Friedlander, Pat English, Joe Sullivan, and Lindsay Mass, as well as all of you board members for your support. Please let me know if you're happy to answer. Thank you.
I wanted to have Dr. Friedlander make a few comments about the contract as well. Thank you, Cornelia.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to provide you with a brief overview of the changes to the contract and then an estimated cost of ongoing costs. So first of all, as Cornelia mentioned, we had an aspirational goal of keeping our salaries at the median of our comparison colleges, and we've fallen behind. So before we knew how much our enrollment had declined, we formed a work group to see if there's any way where we can reduce costs and increase revenue to free up funds to somehow provide an increase in compensation. So what came out of that work group was the idea of the SERP and a few other ideas for cost savings and revenue generation that have, are being followed up with. But also, by the time that group finished with its recommendations, we knew what our enrollment situation was, so both parties said it was not realistic or appropriate to pursue any kind of salary increase. So there's no increase in salaries or benefits in this contract. And what Cornelia didn't mention is that 93% of the faculty membership, FA membership, voted to support this contract, which is second. There's always an inequity in summer pay where for summer sessions and intersessions, full-time faculty got paid off a salary schedule called Salary Schedule 15, but the adjunct faculty got paid off the adjunct salary schedule, which is Salary Schedule 11. In some cases, in many cases, the full-time faculty actually were making less money teaching overloads on 15 than they would on Schedule 11. So as an equity issue, we got rid of Schedule 15 and made Schedule 11 without any adjustments as the, Schedule 11 as the one scale that we pay overloads and adjunct teaching, whether it's a part-timer or a full-timer, based on their placement. And that'll add up, that'll be a few dollars more for most faculty who teach summer session. Not all do. And in a few cases, faculty at the very high end of the salary schedule who have been here for a long time, they would actually receive a reduction by moving to Salary Schedule 11. So we grant person them in if they taught summer session in the last 3 years and if they teach this summer. If not, then everybody's on Schedule 11, on that. The next change is stipends. We had paid faculty stipends, which doesn't include department chair stipends. A lot of that's just we do stipends for. We said it was $50 an hour, but it wasn't pegged to anything on salary schedule. So we pegged it to a schedule and a step on the salary schedule, so it has a basis for it. So that changes that rate from $50 an hour to $53.10 an hour for stipends. And again, it will not cost the general fund that much money, because a lot of that is in grants and, you know, external funds coming in. The next thing is, we always had as our goal, or, you know, recently, that we pay our compensation salaries median of our 10 comparable colleges, and then we make progress towards our part-time, full-time, you know, ratio, the 75%. So the only thing here is we put it in the contract as an aspirational goal, which we've always had, but now it's in the contract. Health benefits, we agreed to continue full coverage of the 80% health plan for full-time faculty this year and next year. So it wasn't an increase, we just, if there is an increase, we'll absorb that, you know, but it's that lowest cost plan, you know, the district will pay 80%, you know, toward. So it's continuing a tradition that we've always had, you know, a practice, I should say. The next thing we did was, prior to now, a sore point when we did a lot of hiring of new full-time faculty members is that we wouldn't count their teaching outside the district. So if you taught at Santa Barbara, you know, City College part-time, you got credit for it in terms of your salary placement. But if you taught at San Diego, you know, City College, or, you know, some other place, you wouldn't. And that was always a sore point for faculty coming in from other places. So we now agreed to count that as in the same way we count in-district teaching toward it. The last thing I want to call your attention to that we changed, two last things, is we all agreed that in determining, you know, the legitimacy of a degree, you know, degrees, we're going to use the accrediting bodies that are recognized by U.S. Department of Education. So that way we have an agreed upon document that we look at, you know, if we're going to recognize a degree or not. And that's what the U.S. Department of Education, you know, recognizes. And the last thing we changed was we just cleaned up language to say that for adjunct faculty, you know, rehire rights, for adjuncts or full-time faculty who retire, they have to wait 6 months, you know, the mandatory STRS wait period before you're allowed to work again, in terms of when they can resume their rehire rights if they want to come back and teach part-time. So that's pretty much all the changes. When Lindsay and I sat down to estimate the ongoing costs of this, it'd be around anywhere from $12,000 to, you know, $15,000, $16,000. That's all, you know, I mean, it's money in this environment, but a huge, you know, amount. And again, I have to, you know, compliment the negotiation team on both, you know, FA and the district, because, you know, with no money on the table, you know, we just did a lot of equity cleanup languages, but there was definitely an understanding and a consciousness and a strong desire to help work towards getting the district back on, you know, on sound footing financially. So I appreciated that. So that's basically the contract. So any
Thank you,
questions?
Jack. Thank you, Cornelia. Questions?
Not so much a question, but would it be fair to say that the watchwords for this negotiation process were fairness coupled with realism?
Yes, healthy dose of both.
Well said.
But that's well said, Peter. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Okay, well, thank you.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the Faculty Association Agreement? Peter, Jonathan, you want to be second? Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us to 8.1, which is balloting for the 2017 election of candidates for the California Community College Trustees Board of Directors. We had some discussion about this last time. There was a request for a little more time to think about some of the pros and cons, or who you wanted to vote for, and so it's back. And the process is that each of us is going to give Angie by number, not by name, the persons up to 9 that you want to be included, and she will do the math and figure out who gets the most votes, and then we will all vote for the 9 top vote getters. So let's ask if there's further comment first before people give their lists.
I'm glad that we had the extra time, because it gave me a chance to talk to others from within and outside the district, and I learned something. So mine is a more informed vote.
Did you
than
wish
I
to
had.
share?
Pardon me?
Did you wish to share that?
Well, I mean, I will, in terms of reading my list of numbers, but I think it's taking a little time, and I was interested in, commitment to detail, understanding of finances, understanding of policy generally, and I think the advice I was given was pretty good.
Okay. Angie, do you want to use the roll call thing to get our
Yeah,
number?
we can start there. Peter, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
My numbers are 3, 5 through 9.
Hold on.
Oh, you're doing this electronically.
I'm trying, but I'm not having any luck here. Okay, let's see. This way. 3, 5 through 9.
Right. 11, 12,
11, 12,
14.
14. Okay.
I think it also needs to be said, none of these people are evil people. I mean, these are good people. It's hard. Nothing was, they're all dedicated, and they want to serve.
Okay, Mary Ann? Are you ready?
1,
Hold on just a second. Let me just get there. All right. 1.
2,
Okay.
3,
Okay.
5, 6, 8,
Hold on just a second. 5, 6, 8,
9,
9,
10,
10,
14.
14. Okay. Jonathan?
Okay, so,
Let me get there first. I shouldn't say your name until I'm there. Okay, Jonathan.
1,
Okay, 1,
14.
14.
You're really making it hard for her.
I know, I put them in like 2 different orders on my,
That's okay.
Painful.
5,
5,
6, there we go.
6,
9,
9,
7,
7,
12,
12,
11, and who did I not say? Oh, shoot. I said 5, I said 7, right?
correct.
Oh, then, sorry. 10.
10,
Yeah.
okay. Veronica?
1,
1,
2, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14.
14. Okay. Marty?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 3, 5,
1, 3, 5,
6, 7,
6, 7,
8, 9,
8, 9,
12, and 14.
12, and 14. Okay. Craig?
Okay, 3, 5, 6,
3, 5, 6,
8, 9, 10,
9, 10,
11, 12, 14.
11, 12, 14. Marcia?
1, are you ready?
1,
1, 3,
3,
5,
5,
6,
6,
8,
8,
9,
9,
10,
10,
14,
14,
15.
15. Okay. Emily?
Ready?
1?
Yeah. 1,
Okay.
3,
3,
5,
5,
6,
6,
7, 8, 9, 12, and 15.
12, and 15?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Stefan Blum, Laura Casas, Andre Gray, Richard Moreno, Lawrence Deck.
Wait, Jim Marino?
Yes, Jim
Jim?
Moreno. Uh-huh.
Why don't you read the numbers?
Oh, read the numbers back to you?
Yeah, could you read the numbers?
Alrighty.
It'd be easier.
Okay, how would if I do this? Number 1 got 6 votes. Number 2 got 2. Number 3 got 6. Number 5 got 8. Number 6 got 8. Number 8 got 7. Number 9 got 8. Number 10 got 4. Number 11 got 4. Number 12 got 6. Number 14 got 7, and number 15 got 2.
Okay, but I don't think we now know from that who are the top 9.
Let me see. So we're going to start with the 8s. So you have 1, 2, 3 8s.
And wait a minute, give us the numbers that are the highest. Number of votes?
5,
6 and 9.
number 5, 6, and 9.
5, 6, and 9, all right. And,
Okay, and then the 7s are 8
yeah,
and 14.
okay.
The 6s are 1, 3, 11. I'm sorry, 12.
11 or not 11?
Not 11, 12.
Well,
So how many is that?
That's 8.
that's
Yeah,
8.
So
We
you
need,
need one more.
yeah.
Well,
We have 3 4s.
yeah. I have 3 4s.
Okay,
So
so,
you guys have number 7, number 10, and number 11 as the 4s.
on those 3. So, all in favor of the 8 votes, let's have a motion to approve those 8.
I move approval.
Second? Craig, all right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And now we have 3 candidates, 7, 10, and 11? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
7 and 11, yes.
7, 10, and 11. So each of us should select one of those, I think, and hopefully that will work out mathematically. So, starting with Peter again.
Yes.
7.
Marianne,
10,
Jonathan,
Let me see the names of the numbers.
11.
Veronica,
11.
11. Marty,
7.
Craig,
Number 10.
Marcia,
10. Actually, that does work, doesn't it?
yeah. so-
Unless Emily, we haven't done
Well, hers
one.
is an advisory vote, so yeah, she gets a choose, she gets a vote. 11?
Well, that does give us 3 for one person and
Yes,
2
it
for the
does.
others, so. All right, the number 10, Sean Geis at Lassen, is the person with 3 votes from this group. So may I have a motion to approve Sean?
Second?
Veronica? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have 9 candidates.
It's a
Thank you.
shame that, we have to do this because I know only a couple of them that I've really talked to at all. And it's not working in this field, you know, for that many years. It's hard to make these choices, but you have to make them based on some criteria, and we do the best we can.
I agree.
And pray
Peter-
that we're correct.
Peter said it as well. I mean, these are all terrific candidates, and we appreciate them running and wanting to take the time to work on these issues. So thanks to all of them. Our next item is the Community Partnership Ad Hoc Committee charge, which Peter gave us the preview of last meeting. So this is for the board to officially approve that charge, and so let's have a motion, and then we can follow with any comments or discussion. Motion to approve. Jonathan? Second? Not everyone at once here. Peter? Second? Okay.
I had
Now,
my hand up really fast, and then I put it down.
what?
So, the charge to me and my committee was to come up with a draft of what this committee should do. This wasn't the committee, it could be, but that wasn't what we did. We were simply responsible for coming up with a draft of what this committee should do. I tried to be simple, direct, and inclusive. You've now had a full couple of weeks to memorize this, and feel free to amend it or accept it.
Anybody? Jonathan?
I just want to thank Peter's leadership. He was really good in taking the input and consolidating it, so I'm really happy with the way this turned out.
Mary Ann?
I thought that you caught, or your committee caught, the intent of our discussion here very well. It was clearly community-centered and very nicely done.
Which
Anyone else?
case, is it appropriate to move for acceptance of this as a charge to a yet-to-be-formed committee?
Well, we did move, you seconded it, so.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yes, I remember it well.
So unless anyone else has further comments, I would say let's vote to approve. All right.
That's right, I
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Committee, you have a charge, so
No,
let's.
I'm not clear as to whether that was a committee or just a committee to create the charge.
Well, initially it was the committee to create the charge. However, unless somebody is dying to switch on or off this committee, we ought to give the committee a chance to implement its charge.
So who's on the committee? Jonathan and you?
Jonathan and I, and
Craig?
Craig, oh, okay. Didn't know that.
So everyone okay with that?
or perhaps we should open it to anybody who'd like to be. I mean, I'm happy to be on the committee. I don't want to mess around with that, but because I think it's a critical thing for us to do at this time. We need to be doubly sensitive to how our community sees us and how we see the community and how we see the interaction between the two. So I think this is an important charge. I think it could be an important committee, and I would be happy with anybody who would like to be on it.
Jonathan?
I'm happy to continue serving. I actually ran on this idea, so want to work on this, continue working on it.
Okay. Craig?
This is an issue that's really been on my agenda in a big way, and I kind of stayed away from the issue to let those guys work it out, but because I didn't want to be too forceful, but I know they have a real interest, and this is something that needs to happen, and I'm very interested. So, but if somebody else really wants to do it, maybe we can rotate people through the committee. It doesn't have to be the same people all the time necessarily, but I want to do it.
If the committee wants to bring that back in the future, they certainly can. At this point, let's go committee. Go out and do good.
Okay, now, does the board wish to suggest some sort of a time frame by which they would want periodic reports, or are there things that we as a board want us particularly to focus on?
Well, you will be on the agenda once a month to report.
Okay,
So the question has more to do with what time frame you envision, and maybe you want a meeting for that and tell us in the first report. I would remind you also that you are an ad hoc committee of the board, but you are allowed to have people come and meet with you. Our other ad hoc committee has regularly included Anthony and Luz, and Jeff Green as well has been involved. And other folks, Emily has been involved as, not as an official member of the board, but, you know, in that capacity, basically as a consultant to the ad hoc committee. So feel free to do
Okay.
the same. I think it's particularly useful to stay in touch with the folks who implement our community relationship every day.
that's helpful. And Emily, would that be okay with you to work with us on this committee?
Second to last official meeting, but I would love to keep in contact. So, but I'm not sure when the committee will be meeting.
We won't let you go.
Unacceptable.
Peter,
You cannot
She's
transfer.
graduating.
She's graduating. We do not say that.
A two-year retention rate.
All of us have graduated. I mean,
It's okay to graduate. That's why you're here.
It's acceptable to transfer.
well, congratulations.
Marcia, don't all our ad hoc committees have to have, and then, I mean, ad hoc committees are not standing committees, so at some point, your ad hoc would.
Zone.
Right. It is definitely
Just
time.
to your point about timeline and whatnot, I said all of our ad hoc committees do have an end date, otherwise they would be standing committees. So
Right.
at some point, you would, I don't want to say poof, disappear, but something would, the scope of this work would have some sort of outcome that there would need to be closure.
Either that or be properly transformed into a standing committee.
Right.
In which case, we would fall under a different set of rules. That's the other possibility.
Right.
But I agree with you. I think we should have a timeline for expiration, which is another way of saying go poof.
I think that that's what I was suggesting the committee in its first meeting, now that it has the charge, would
Yeah.
start to develop its agenda and say, okay, I think this will take
Okay.
this chunk of time before I go poof.
Okay,
That fit?
that's good.
Okay. Our next item is the Transportation Demand Management Plan. Did you want to make any comments, Anthony, on that?
Yeah, well, I think Lindsay might want to make some comments on this. This is something that has been ongoing in terms of wanting to make sure that the campus is accessible and that people are coming here in the most efficient way possible, and it relates to parking and such. Lindsay?
Good
Welcome.
afternoon. This is a updated document. We're required to update the Transportation Demand Management Plan per the Coastal Commission. We've had one in place for many, many years. I have not been intimately involved in it, so it's kind of exciting for me to learn about it and read about it. There's a lot of information here, but I do find the document to be pretty easy to digest, and some of the statistics in it are informative and helpful to understand. One of the big things I'd like to point out is go to one of the tables that shows, keep going. One more, I think. Yeah, that one, right there. That table 3, the mode share. This is the first time we've really dug in and gotten these detailed level of numbers. If you happen to look at last time's Transportation Demand Management Plan, it didn't have carpool listed, which is a large group of folks, bike, motorcycle. So this is a really kind of fine-tooth analysis of each of these areas and how many people we have commuting to campus in these ways. So I find it really interesting to see that 8% are coming by carpool and 1.25% by bike. These are small increases from the prior report that did occur, where we have more walking and skating, more taking the bus, a little bit more biking. And so it's really exciting news to see that we do have a 12% decrease since we've implemented the SBCC commute program that we implemented a couple years ago, trying to encourage folks to come on campus in other methods. So that's the good news, and we're continuing to work on this. We're installing a couple more electric vehicle charging stations. The last year, we've added a lot of carpool spots that are heavily used all the time. And we do still have, tough parking challenges, but we're headed in the right direction.
Thanks.
Questions?
Thank you, Lindsay. Questions? Greg?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody can really answer this, but what I didn't see in the report, so my question involves what I didn't read about. And maybe I missed it, but I was thinking about the, we spent quite a bit of money on those an effort putting in the bicycle repair sheds and doing some work related to the bicycle transportation. And we spent money in other areas too, but for a very small percentage of the student population that comes here on bicycles, we put a lot into that, and we got a very small increase. That thing at all. But what I'm wondering is, the planning, if we had that much money every year, if we had that much money available every year, would we rotate it amongst all the different areas that we've already addressed in the spending? And do we look at, spending money by area and how effective it was to spend that money?
Right.
So I really didn't see that addressed in the report, but I did see a lot of data in there. So just a comment, and I don't know if you had a response, I would listen, but I didn't expect one really. I wanted to see, if cost effective, like was it cost effective? What did it cost us to achieve that by area?
Well, as you saw in the report, we did have that shuttle bus system. We tried it, it wasn't cost effective, so we stopped doing it.
Yes.
So we have learned through trial and error some of those things, and right now we're not focused on rolling out new things because of the cost. So it hasn't been something we've talked about lately.
Okay.
I just have a question in like what you mentioned, that the Isla Vista numbers seem different than the bus ridership numbers. And I think part of that has to be with people thinking that Isla Vista is part of Goleta, which, a lot of people think that and put Goleta as their address. Is there a way to change like how someone inputs this so that they have to maybe like pick one so that makes them think a little more of, which one to pick? I don't know how.
I don't know how it was compiled, so
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can ask our consultant who's compiled it, how they do that, and if there's choices.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll
It's a
ask.
good point, though, in
Yeah.
terms of making sure that the data input is accurate.
Right.
Well, that probably makes a big difference with the bus ridership. If they're coming from Isla Vista, there's that direct route on the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Lindsay. Next item up is Pat with the Equal Opportunity Plan, and this is the first reading of this plan.
So Title V, while she's walking up, Title V requires that each governing board of a community college district in the state develop a written EEO plan, Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. And Pat, through her leadership and committee, has ably put one of these plans together for us that will be submitted to the Chancellor's office. So Pat, if you want to walk through this for us.
Yes, I would love the opportunity to do this. The first thing I wanted to mention is that it's not titled correctly on the agenda. There is a word missing. It's the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. There's another E in there. And I'm very happy to finally be here. This has been a long project, and this is a big moment. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to walk significance of this moment for all of us. In October of 2014, this board adopted Board Policy 3420, Equal Employment Opportunity, which stated the board's commitment to support diversity in the academic environment as a means of fostering cultural awareness, developing mutual understanding and respect, and providing suitable role models for all students. This policy was updated in April of 2015 to reflect a legal update. This policy also directed our superintendent president to develop for your review and adoption an Equal Employment Opportunity Plan. This plan would need to be in compliance with the California Education Code and Title V requirements. The associated administrative procedure, 3420, provides an excellent overview of the contents of this plan. It covers all aspects of our employment procedures, our reporting requirements to the State Chancellor's Office. It requires the establishment of an EEO advisory committee, requires broad dissemination of our plan, up to and including complaint procedures for those who feel they've experienced discrimination related or unrelated to employment. I encourage you to look at this 7-page administrative procedure when you have the opportunity. In 2008, California Community College HR and EEO professionals brought their concerns to the Chancellor's Office about the existing EEO regulations. Concerns included outdated terminologies, methodologies, and the potential for legal liability. The existing regulations required the Chancellor's Office to provide, quote, availability data for use by districts in determining whether applicant pools were adequately diverse. But the Chancellor's Office wasn't able to obtain that information, and so it left us unable to comply with the regulations. That's why I'm saying this has been a long time coming. A task force was created to work in collaboration with the Chancellor's Office to share information and gather statewide data on the law and current regulations, which ultimately succeeded in making revisions to Title V language. These revisions became effective in October of 2013, which is no small feat. All of these changes are beneath the broad umbrella of equal employment opportunity, and they're less prescriptive in the means of how districts accomplish their goals. The old regulations were statistic-driven, they were reactive, and they were rigid. The new regs are district-designed, behavior-driven, proactive, and flexible. They're definitely friendly and more practical for us to work with when striving to accomplish these important objectives. The new regs permit greater creativity in designing programs and outreach efforts that will make sense for our own community. We'll be measured by our actions rather than solely by our numbers. This is tremendous progress for all of us that are involved. As of December 2015, California community college districts were out of compliance with the requirement to have a district-approved EEO plan. We were among that 45%. Although we were not in compliance with having completed an EEO plan, we'd already adopted the board policy that I mentioned, and our EEO plan was under construction. We have very current policies and procedures related to, among other things, recruitment, equal employment opportunity, non-discrimination. All of our selection committees are required to receive training in EEO requirements. Every committee includes a trained, designated EEO officer throughout the process. In fact, our most recent accreditation site visit response indicated we were doing all the right things. We just needed to get it all documented in the form of an EEO plan, which demonstrates ongoing good faith efforts. I'm confident you'll want to read this EEO plan in its entirety, but I want to take this opportunity to highlight a couple of special areas. For example, I want you to know that the composition of the District EEO Advisory Committee mirrors the other official district committee membership, which includes 1 administrator as the chair, 2 faculty members, 2 managers, 2 staff members, and a student rep. The individuals each serve a 2-year term. The data found in the midst of our plan includes a 5-year analysis of our workforce and a 3-year analysis of our applicant flow. The data collection and analysis will continue to analyze and assess our progress. And although that's interesting, I would characterize the actual heart of the plan to be in sections 12, 13, and 14, which is where you'll find the methods and measures to address underrepresentation and steps to further equal employment opportunity at SBCC. Some examples are as simple as more targeted placement of our recruitment advertising efforts, taking a close look at what we use as, quote, preferred qualifications when applications are screened by committees. We're even talking about hosting a local job fair on campus. We will continue to conduct diversity dialogues, forums, and cross-cultural workshops. We will consider offering a nominal travel reimbursement to applicants for our full-time faculty positions. who are required to travel to campus for interviewing purposes. With respect to recruitment, the overall objective is to question and for us to remove what may be artificial obstacles or barriers that we've unknowingly put into place. And these obstacles adversely affect our underrepresented applicants. Once approved and adopted, the plan will be posted on our website. It'll be updated every 3 years and resubmitted to you, and then sent to the Chancellor's office. Submission of this plan timely to the Chancellor's office means we will be eligible for EEO funding consideration from this night. You have the district EEO plan for first reading as a discussion item. We have a district advisory committee that has met, reviewed, and provided input for the plan. The district advisory committee will be meeting in the future to continue to advance the methods identified to address underrepresentation. Going forward, the District EEO Advisory Committee will be chaired by the Director of Equity, Diversity, and Cultural Competency. The initiatives in this area are completely congruent with the plan objectives, and that position is a logical chair for this committee. So this item will return to the April 27th board agenda as an action item. Tonight it's in front of you for first reading.
Questions, comments? Marty?
I'm very impressed with it. I'm so glad that we're getting it. I knew it was in the works, but you know, these things take a while and they're hard to do, and yet this is excellent. I read through it, and then it came time to come here, so I didn't get to go back through it. But is there some kind of requirement for reporting back to the board at some point, or because I think I'd be very interested to see the follow-up numbers. These numbers in here are very interesting.
I agree, and that would be at your discretion to request a report. I could see that happening on an annual basis, that snapshot annually. We will need to collect that data. We will need to have it ready for the next iteration of the plan, so that would be perfect.
No, that would be good.
Yeah, I would recommend that we have this as an annual report so that we can look at these numbers, see how they're changing, look at our progress. Trustee Aboud has mentioned that we really should have that. I would also suggest that we get a good profile of the community to see, you know, how closely aligned we are to the community relative to the demographics of the college. I mean, just as another factor to look at, and that's readily available, so it wouldn't be too taxing to put together. I'm looking at Pat.
Pat smiles.
I am smiling. When you conduct national searches, which is what we do for our faculty, full-time faculty positions, for example, we would want to look at national demographic data. If our relevant recruiting area for a position, for example, for our staff positions, which might be a narrower recruitment, then we would want to look at this relevant, the demographics locally.
Plus, we are interested in how our demographics reflect our community from the point of view of students, and then, you know, we're trying to match it all up, so.
It's a fascinating body of work, I think.
Yeah, it really is.
I ended up reading a couple other of these plans from other districts when I first, learned a lot about it at the November conference for the annual trustee conference, and I really am impressed.
I could just keep standing here. Anybody
It's
else?
okay, we love you.
Well, we recognize it's a lot of work,
Yeah, it is huge.
and thank you for that.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, now we have Lindsay back, I believe, to talk about the assumptions and general fund revenues as we now see them for the next upcoming budget and the revised budget timeline.
Hello again. Okay, so into a ton of detail, but I'm always happy to answer questions because this is just the first look at the revenues, the first look at the assumptions. We'll be looking at this every board meeting for a while. So if you come up with a question tomorrow, we'll talk about it again. Okay, so what we have, you might as well put them up for me, Liz. Why don't you Yeah, we could start with the assumptions. Thanks. So I'm just going to go through the revenue piece of this. You can read the other expense portions and transfers, and those will continue to solidify as time goes on. Most of them are sort of to be determined at this time. So on the revenue, starting with the governor's January budget, so it's a little early for us to say that these are definitely what our revenues are going to be. As you're all familiar, we get the May revise from the May revised budget in May from the governor, and that gives us some we'll readjust at that time. So it's just our first look. What we're expecting from the May revise is something similar than what we saw in January, maybe a little bit better. I was on a CBO call this afternoon, and they're hoping that the numbers are a little bit better. Most colleges are not capturing growth right now, which means that there'll be more money left in the pool for the rest of us, and that would be additional one-time revenues that might be coming to the colleges. So that's some good news. So for our revenues, we have the first section here is our state revenues, the ongoing revenues. As we know, we're in a state of decline on our FTES. And the way we are funded is sort of a year in arrears. So our decline that we've experienced between last year and this year is what will we get funded on next year. Okay, so it gets a little bit confusing because we talk about what we're projecting for FTS next year, but we already know our revenues will be based on our decline this year. So that's why we have this decline of 8.3% put into the budget for the resident credit and non-credit FTS. And we're not projecting a COLA at this time. And we're not projecting any growth, obviously. We're not projecting any base allocation funding increase, but there might be one. There was a really, really tiny one in the January budget revise, but since we're in a state of decline, we didn't bother building in a number here in May. Obviously, the enrollment fee remains constant at $46. We have the EPA revenue that we receive, Prop 30 revenue. That is sunsetting out the second half of it, the sales tax portion. It ended on December 31, so we will be short $1.9 million in revenue for that revenue item. Lottery remains flat pretty much every year. State mandated the ongoing reimbursements we receive there. Those are tied to our FTS, so we're assuming a small decline there as well. Our one-time revenues, we are not projecting a deficit factor. What that is that's when the state says, we're going to fund you X, but we don't quite have the cash flow, so we're actually going to fund you 1 or 2% less. It's pretty rare that we budget a deficit factor right now. It's very small, so it's not necessary to budget for. State mandated one-time reimbursements we're also receiving, as well as the ongoing, and right now, without any better details, we're just budgeting or assuming that they'll be flat on. Item number 10 there, we also do not budget for any type of recalculations or prior year budgets adjustments. Those are very hard to estimate, but they do happen, so we just don't budget for that. And number 11 is the deferred maintenance and instructional equipment state block grant that we've been receiving. It's too early to know what that's going to be, what this year is, so there's no big change to that number in these assumptions at this time either. Okay, local revenues. We have our reduction in the resident credit FTES. So our revenues are quite complex, as you know. We get the state apportionment amount, we get property taxes, we also collect that $46 a unit from our students. So this number 1 here in local is referring to the amount of money we receive, that $46 from every student. So we also have to reduce that in our assumptions. So we have a 5% reduction there. That's the 5% decline we're projecting for next year. So we have to project what we're losing this year, and then in the actual enrollment money that we're taking in, we're expecting to take in 5% less. Okay? And also under local revenue, number 2, the non-resident enrollment fee. We know that we increased that fee for next year, so we are expecting an increase in revenues for that, but we also know we're expecting a decline in FTS. So when we net those out, we have a new assumption for that one of a decline of about $500,000. So it goes up and it goes down. And there's just one more on the next page, a very small one, interest revenue. We're projecting that to increase a very small amount. I would also like to go to the last page briefly. This is something new I put in there this year, just so we're all on the same page with our FTS, all of us being me, Jack, Paul Jarrell, that we all know what FTS we're talking about and that these are the numbers I'm building into the budget. These are P2 projections from a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's all blending together now every day. And Jack told me he has new ones he's going to give me again tomorrow. So these are the figures we're using in our assumptions for our budget with the revenues. So this can help people understand. In the past, we haven't had such types of decline, and we haven't had different declines or growths in different areas, which is why I've broken it out this way. Credit resident, non-credit enhanced, non-credit non-enhanced are all funded differently for us. So I've broken this out in more of a funding-based mindset than you might see from another report where they're just kind of focused on FTS. So that's why they're broken out in this way. And then you can see that percent change on the far right. It ties to our assumptions in the different areas. Okay? Any questions about this before I get into the numbers? Okay, all right. So now this one, Liz, thanks. That one right there, yeah, thanks. Okay. So just to first look at only the revenues. I know we're all dying to see the revenues and the expenses together and where we're going to land, but we're just not quite there yet. Where James' office is frantically putting together the budget right now. He just gave me a first pass on the expense side, so that'll be coming. So just focusing on the revenues here, what this is showing is that our revenues for the 17-18 tentative budget are around $88.9 million. So you can see that's a $9 million decline. And in that kind of orange of all those variances, just high level, all attributed to our different declines in the different areas. I don't particularly feel the need to walk through each one of them. I think you guys probably already read them. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. So I'll also show this next time on the expense side and the revenues and expenses together so we can see where we're at.
Any questions? I just had one to see if I was understanding correctly. I went back and compared our total revenue, the 88 million, to what we were projecting in February when we looked at it. And I'm seeing a 2.6 million drop. So we're still on the downside of that.
Right.
Obviously, there's impacts on expenses that we haven't yet seen, and I respect the fact that we don't know how that finally comes out. But I'm just, at the very high level, 2.6 million less in revenue.
Got it. Yeah, every time, these projections we've been working on together have been really exciting for all of us to see the numbers as things progress. But every time we have a new FTS projection or our year finishes and we have the final FTS numbers, these revenue numbers change. So it's tough because if we did one every week, they'd be different every week. But yeah, we do have that change due to our latest FTS projections.
And those are this year's projections on which we get next year's revenue, basically. Well,
Which
not counting
area?
the tuition.
Yeah, you've got it. You've got it.
Anyone else?
But this is still part of, like, the college side, the 4.5, so this is part, so this is in addition to?
I'm sorry.
I guess, you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah. Just hold on, we'll get
Okay.
there. Without knowing what the expenditures are, because we've had so many changes in our budget, we have the CERP, we have people retiring, we're rehiring some, not others. Let us compile it all. We'll get all the expenses together and we'll see what the new budget deficit is. I don't want to throw out a number not having all, it's hundreds of files we're compiling from every department and going through it with our new BRAC committee, which is fantastic. So we'll get there. Next time I'll have something for you.
No, good. We'll
But
stop.
you have the right idea.
So it is very tempting to make that logical jump, but as Lindsay's pointing out, there's so many moving parts on the expenditure side. Good, good things that we've been doing. We're wanting to be accurate and make sure we're as transparent as we possibly can with all of that, and that's what Lindsay's been working on before we unveil that to you. Because the pieces have been jumping around, those components on the expenditure side, but
Yeah.
it's coming.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And we'll stop, because I know that bringing this so early So I will appreciate it and just will stop so that then you can say, this is why we don't bring it to you, because you guys ask all these questions. So it's good, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, we do appreciate your bringing it to us, even if it's in pieces and we have to hold our breath for the second part.
Okay, good, I'm glad. Any other questions? Not yet? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us to the closed session. We will adjourn for a closed session. Before we adjourn, Peter, you,
Yes, I would like to move that we adjourn today's meeting in honor of Michael Tobes, who passed away last night. Michael was, in my view, a very, very special human being. Not only was he capable of doing great things in the community and financially and every other respect, but he was really a caring and dedicated human being, dedicated to the growth of the community and the sense of community. Last time he was here before us, I think some of you remember him, he was, you know, I think he was 87 then, or 86 perhaps. He was ready to tackle a new project. And I wondered out loud, I said to him, what keeps you going? I wanted to know, because I want some of whatever he's eating. Quoting him, I mean, somebody else asked him, why does he keep going? He said, you know, I'm being useful. Why not keep going? Why not keep doing it? That was kind of man that Michael Tobes was. So we'll miss him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we will.
well, I agree, Peter, and we certainly do honor Michael. He is leadership in giving back to the community is a model for all of us. You know, as we as an institution seek to meet the needs of our community, he is a person who has helped us in that regard. He was on the foundation board and a generous donor for many years. And we appreciate that, and we appreciate his leadership in this community. So we will miss him. We are adjourned to closed session. We will come back. I expect most of you will probably not be waiting around.